boxing show on the Chris Sports Network. I'm your real-time boxing show, Mike Goodpaster.
And right now, I want to remind you that betting.net is your best bet for sportsbook and casino sites. And betting.net offers exclusive or extensive reviews on the best sportsbooks out there. Now I want to introduce my co-host, boxing historian Chris Shelton. How you doing, Chris?
Good. And speaking of gambling, we're going to show Tyson Holyfield won. And if you would lay down $300 on Holyfield when the odds first posted 25-1, you'd be $7,000 richer.
Yeah, I just spent it all by now.
Me too. I wasn't born to win those kinds of things. We're going to do Mike Tyson, and we do want to show some of the antics he has, and quite frankly, the cheating that he does. Even though I hate to ever think these things are personal, he's part of my youth too. But we thought it was important because, again, I was really upset that knowing Michael Spinks fought him clean, and he could have beat Michael Spinks without cheating, but I know he cheated.
We learned that fight with Henry Tillman in the months off,
which a lot of people thought that basically
Tyson won that fight easily, which was not the case. If you watched the fight with it, you saw that Henry Tillman won that fight 2 rounds out of 3. Then we show the start of Mike Tyson's career up until right before the Michael Spinks fight. And the interesting thing about that was that head movement was not there when he fought guys like Midstream, who did stand and fight him. He didn't run the way a lot of people remember. The same thing with James Cortez, who almost beat him. So there's a lot of myth here about Mike Tyson, Chris.
Yeah, and you were really bringing up the head movement and such because even I didn't quite remember that. I was watching the fights and stuff, that Tyson, when he gets in trouble, he loses the head movement. I didn't quite realize just how much he stopped using head movement in defense when he fought Mitch Green and Tillis. And I still think if Tillis had been just a little more confident, I think Tillis was from the get-go thinking he was going to go the distance. I don't think he realized how easily he'd be able to dominate Mike Tyson. So he won the last 4 rounds, but he gave up the first 6.
What we're going to get into now, a lot of people consider Mike Tyson the youngest heavyweight champion in the world. I wanted to be the GOAT because he wasn't the heavyweight champion in the world. He wasn't until he beat Michael Spinks, which was a couple years after he won the title as the youngest at the age of 20. The point is, Floyd Patterson, when he won the heavyweight championship over Archie Moore when they fought for the abdicated title after retirement of Rocky Marciano, that was for the legitimate heavyweight title. Michael Spinks beat the man who beat the man in Larry Holmes, and he defended the title against Devon Hangstad, who was, I think, Swedish.
Norway.
And on top of that, he defended the title after that against Jerry Cooney. A lot of people say, why didn't he fight Tony Tucker? The reason there was simply money. He was offered $3.5–4 million to fight.
Because he took a fight where he's the underdog.
He was offered $500,000 to fight Tony Tucker.
Cooney only lost once in his career, and Spinks went into that fight as the underdog. And when I had Clean over watching it, she was saying, "Oh, is the little guy going to get hurt?" Well, the little guy was Michael Spinks.
So let's go ahead and count Tyson and Spinks up right now. We're going to watch that fight. This is a fight where you can look at Spinks right there, and he didn't look like he wanted any part of this fight.
Yeah, I saw him like on the David Letterman show and stuff, and I don't think he really did. I think he was just a paycheck. He sort of felt in his heart he was already going to lose, and that's, for a guy that hasn't lost in over 12 years, it's kind of sad because, it's a lot of money, but, as you get older, all that money, just as you said, Mike, earlier with our deal, we would have spent that money anyway, and is it worth, what hurt Spinks' legacy, ultimately, which shouldn't have. It's just his last fight, it shouldn't mean that much. But the Tyson crowd not only gets excited, but they're bullies a little bit. So a chance to sort of pick on Michael Spinks is all up their alley.
People forget just how big a fight this was. This fight was on close to a par with Holmes, Cooney, Ali, Frazier. This was a very high fight with Tyson. Pepsi, they ran commercials almost 27/7 for this fight. But when you watch this, the thing that sticks out to me, this is the first fight where you see Michael Spinks with a knee brace on each knee. And I know that I got a chance to interview him one time. He talked about how he always ran in combat boots. And how that really affected his knees as he got older. I think he was like 31, 32 in this fight. I don't think there was the movement anymore there for Michael Spinks like there was against Larry Holmes in that first fight.
Yeah, I think also that those leg injuries were hurt him early in his career, but he managed to overcome them, I guess, with his training and such, but I think that stuff catches up to you and such. And also, at this point, honestly, Mike Tyson probably is the better heavyweight without doubt. My question was just watching when people said he's invincible, nobody could have beat Mike Tyson on this night. And I go, wait a minute. The only thing is he's taking on kind of a small guy who was a middleweight when he won the Olympic crown. We don't even know how he would have done against huge guys because he wasn't facing a huge guy.
Yeah, and anything
heavyweight with a good jab and right hand that didn't come in the ring scared
would give Tyson trouble. And that basically, Ronique is right. That is the MO through Mike Tyson's career.
That's true, and that's why it's sad when they have Spinks with concern because you're right. But one of the big problems was people just being afraid of Tyson, and I still think with Tillis, if Tillis had simply been a little more confident going in, he could have taken some of those early rounds. I think Tillis, as the fight was progressing, was realizing, hey, this guy's not Tim Witherspoon. I can beat this guy. He just waited, I think, a little too late to realize that. You're right. That is the hard part, is convincing somebody at that time not to be afraid of Mike Tyson when they stepped into the ring. Sonny Liston had the same advantage. Sonny Liston knew, hey, if I can scare somebody, before I step into the ring with them, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah,
one of the fights that I thought Mike Tyson could lose was against Carlton Williams. Carlton Williams was a man who had fought Larry Holmes, gave Larry Holmes all he wanted,
but he was
a guy that
his big problem was he didn't take a punch real well, and it was a smooth boxer. He had to have that jab. This was a fight that I think was stopped way too quickly.
Yeah, it stopped again. This is the second fight in a row that lasted 90 seconds, and that was going to hurt Tyson. All the way they call it, the storm, the storm, whatever they call it, the tropical storm, the perfect storm. Tyson now is getting used to knocking out guys in 90 seconds, and these guys are all sort of chumps to him. So it's going to hurt him as far as training and who he wants in his corner, and he's even going to watch the fights of his opponent, which he's going to decide all of these things when he takes on his next opponent, which is only... this is only going to be 2 rounds after Michael Spinks that he's going to take on Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
And 7 times, 7 times Carl the Truth Williams has gone down. All 7 times from a left hook. That's just deadly to have that on your radar chart, that you're just that open, that every time you get knocked down, it's a left hook. Tyson's obviously going to set up for a left hook. Which I do think is still a short. Yeah. Carl Truth Williams, I thought they even beat Billy Holmes when he fought him for the heavyweight title, but that was a very different, totally different kind of fight than this. So there he goes, and the last hook, and down goes Carl Truth, and how does he look? Well, he's staggering. Well, he's struggling. He's definitely struggling, and does he quite look right? It's not a bad stoppage. I didn't agree with it. I still don't agree with it, but at the same time, it's not a bad stoppage. Williams is not showing himself up to be ready. Like Muhammad Ali went down 4 times. Muhammad Ali got 4 times, whether he's ready or not. Look like, I'm ready. You want to give that appearance to Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes would go down. Larry Holmes went down quite a few times in his career. Would get up, I'm ready to go. They always want to make sure make it sure that the referee understands that they're ready to go. And I think Carl Truth Williams was stumbling a little bit behind the ropes, got up, he's shaking his head. I think he was clearing his head, but I do think that it's not ridiculous. The only thing that really made ridiculous is it made Tyson in the eyes of people just invincible. Because now they thought, he's going to go to Japan. The fight before Holyfield, which we're all waiting for, where he's going to take a money check with Buster Douglas, and a fight that'll go, 90 seconds? Unless you've been watching Buster Douglas fights, like Sugar Ray Leonard or Evander Holyfield. They didn't think it was going to go 90 seconds. They didn't think it was going to go there. They didn't think it was going to go down. They didn't think it was necessarily going to go as long as it did. They just didn't think it was going to stay 90 seconds.
Yeah, it's not just sports betting. Betting.net is the best online casino. Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots and poker and table games. Now, you brought up the Buster Douglas fight, which was a fight Buster Douglas was 42 to 1 underdog. Nobody really gave Buster Douglas any chance at all coming into this fight. But Tyson's training, that's always used an excuse. He was past his prime now, Chris, because he was 23 years old. That's what a lot of Mike Tyson fans like to use. And Greg Page, who was a heavyweight contender a few years before this, actually dropped Mike Tyson in sparring. So when you look back at this, maybe it's not as big a shot as you thought before, but I mean, it was still a shot that Buster Douglas would even be able
Mike Tyson a fight.
Well, we've been seeing that Buster Douglas was actually being sort of coached along in his career after the loss to Tony Tucker, which is a technical knockout. Tucker didn't look like Douglas looked really good up until the point until that final round, and then it was a stoppage. And I think again it put him way under the radar. But he's got a jab just as good as Larry Holmes. And he's as big as George Foreman. He's going to lose a lot of weight, trying to, get ready for Mike Tyson. He did a great job. Had to fire his dad as a trainer, and his dad was a big influence on who he was. And his best friend, or the person he trusted the most, John Johnson, was a student of Woody Hayes. He's an Ohio State guy. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And show no mercy to Michigan.
Yeah,
I'm putting a video up right now. It was the one I forgot to put up at the start, Chris.
But when we
look at this fight, as Rudy said on there, you had a big jab, you had a guy that could move, and the thing that stood out to me, similar to when we watched the Holyfield fight the first time, is the way Buster Douglas, when he clinched Mike Tyson, was actually stronger than Mike Tyson. It could actually walk him backwards, which wears the fighter out also.
Absolutely. I think watching the last tape, I think Mitch Green was stronger and James Jones was stronger than Mike Tyson, and that's something that you don't really thought about. But Douglas was certainly stronger, and he had a lot in his head because his mom had just died. He trained for the fight really well, but his mom just died a month before. He was definitely a mama's boy, and the mother of his child had a serious kidney infection, and so there was a lot on his mind. But one thing he was not afraid of Mike Tyson. He grew up in a boxing gym. His dad was Columbus, Ohio. Mike's from Ohio. The first Golden Gloves. And his dad was tough, believe me. If you don't have to be afraid of Mike Tyson, you be afraid of Bill Douglas. Bill Douglas had an attitude. You're in a boxing gym, he had a real attitude toward everybody. Hey, look, we're doing things my way or the highway. I joke with Mike, if there was his lawn, his house, there's a car anywhere near there that's, he's going to move that car out of the way, right? Because it's Bill Douglas's home. It's Bill Douglas's place. He don't put up with shit. Look at his son is. It's too bad. My son has talent, but he's just too much of a mama's boy, in a way. And he's rough on him. Come on, it's going to make you a man. You'll be a goddamn man. And ultimately, that's not what really caused Douglas Tyson a lot of problems. It was just winning round for round against Tyson, and just doing it because of superior boxing skills, and that Tyson clearly hadn't watched his opponent or thought about his opponent or cared or thought it mattered. Also, Tyson got rid of Kevin Rooney from the train. He emptied everything in a sense, thinking it didn't really matter who he was fighting. I give you a fun numbers game, Mike, just to show something. 55-10. Now, is that the number of punches between Douglas over Tyson after 2 rounds, or the Super Bowl score between LA's Denver and San Francisco's
1989.
That was 55-10. In this case, Douglas had a 52-16 advantage after 2 rounds. And here, we're not even showing the 2 rounds that Douglas dominated so much because he dominated so often.
Because I had some YouTube issues on the highlight film, but the one where he knocks Douglas down and then everybody raises hell about the count to 10. Just make it clear for people that the fighter doesn't have 10 seconds to get up. He's got until the count of 10 to get up.
Right. And that was really at the bell. But vice versa, people would not have been happy if Tyson would have been stopped on that, and he wasn't. But again, after 2 rounds, 52-16 was the advantage of punches of Douglas over Tyson, and that's when I'm showing the 5th round. The 5th round, Douglas completely dominates start to finish. It's not even close. And that Tyson's just sort of taking punches, and meanwhile, his eyes closing. Douglas has closed it. And I do think the 9th round is different emotionally because Douglas isn't boxing as much. I think he's upset. He knows he may have blown it. He's thinking about his mom, and he just comes at Mike Tyson and starts pounding and hitting him hard. In a way, Tyson's not, because absolutely nobody's ever seen somebody slug it out with Mike Tyson like that. And that's what Buster Douglas did in the 9th round. He slugged it out with the person we thought nobody could slug it out with Mike Tyson. Even Holyfield. As much as we love Holyfield, we didn't think the way for Holyfield to win was to slug it out. You have to land punches, but slugging it out with Mike Tyson, but that's what Douglas did after superior boxing after 7 rounds. Tyson was patient, smart, landed his uppercut a couple times, knocking Douglas down at the end of the 8th round, and then Douglas came out on fire.
Yeah.
I just sent a message over here. He played football for me.
decades ago, when I was like 10, when I started coaching, that's why I'm still young.
Yeah.
But when we look at the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas, it stops the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield fight. And that's the fight everybody wanted to see. Buster Douglas goes on, he's doing Saturday night's main event as a wrestling referee. He's basically eating himself out of being the heavyweight champion of the world. Mike Tyson at the same time gets a couple wins against Razor Running. Then he ends up getting arrested for rape. Spends 3 years in jail, comes back. Don King gets his hooks into him. But everybody always says that Tyson was too old when he fought Holyfield. People forget Holyfield was actually older than Mike Tyson when they fought. And when you look at this, they only fought Holyfield because he was coming off a fight at Madison Square Garden in the low undercard, where he struggled to stop Bobby Fez in 5 rounds.
Well, also, Evander Holyfield had to retire because of a heart issue. That somehow they said he prayed to God that it would go away, and it did go away. But a lot of people were suspect. How could something like that go away? He was exhausted when he fought Michael Moore, and he was exhausted when he fought Riddick Bowe the 3rd time. It's amazing that he knocked Riddick Bowe down in the 3rd fight, considering you can see Holyfield can't even breathe. So when this thing hit I was in Tijuana, I could have laid down my money, but I didn't. I talked to him. I think Tyson's very vulnerable, because anybody that takes off 3 years as a heavyweight is vulnerable. 25-1 were the odds. Can you imagine Evander Holyfield at 25-1 odds? That's what the odds were that if you went that day, but they quickly dropped because everybody's laying their money down on Holyfield. It dropped all the way down to 7.5-1 at fight time, and that means this time the casinos were praying for Mike Tyson to win because everybody laid their money down on Holyfield. They couldn't. They suspected everybody would vote Tyson, but what they were not recognizing is professional gamblers. Professional gamblers were simply waiting on a heavyweight that had been out of the ring for 3 years, who didn't appear to be taking on competition. They don't think with their hearts; they only think with their brain. And they were that 25-1 odds in Evander Holyfield lay down their money, and if it dropped to 20-1, sure, I'll take Evander Holyfield 20-1, 15-1. Hell, I'll take Evander Holyfield 15-1. It's a good bet, even if you lose. That's a hell of odds to get, and along with a 2-time heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield.
Peter wasn't the greatest competition in the world. And then he ends up beating Frank Bruno, who was scared to death going in the ring. He was scared to death in the ring. He beat Bruce Seldon, who I'm still not sure that he ever hit him. He knocked him out in 1 round.
That was disappointing.
Fight against Holyfield, which I think was basically what they thought was a safe money grab against Evander Holyfield.
Absolutely.
By the time you get to the 5th round here, you can tell Evander Holyfield's just a better fighter.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the show, again, we're not trying to show prejudice against Tyson. For the first 4 rounds, Holyfield either, in most people's eyes, won all 4 rounds, or I would say I think he won 3 of the rounds, and the first round was a draw. So those are Holyfield's better rounds, not Tyson's. And so the 5th round here, this is Tyson's best round. This is the first round I give to Tyson. So I'm really showing Tyson in a positive light for his advantage, just so it doesn't look like it's all one-sided in any way. But unfortunately for Tyson, he's going up against a better heavyweight when all's said and done. And the way they advertised Bruce Seldon was, well, Bruce Seldon's done time. He'll be tough again. He's gone to jail. Well, Evander Holyfield hasn't gone to jail. That doesn't mean the guy isn't tough. Certainly, a guy like Foreman and Riddick Bowe 3 times. These guys are huge. Holyfield's is a tough dude.
Yeah. Holyfield really paid for pay-per-view. You always got your money's worth. Same thing with Tyson, just sometimes the money was shortened up to a minute or 2.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, I got the wrong one up here. Hold on. And the big thing to me is this. They talk about the headbutts, and that's why Tyson beat him in the 2nd fight and everything. But if you watch this fight, Tyson's coming in with his head down almost all the time, and he's a short fighter. So it's really hard to say here that Evander Holyfield is the only guy that had something to do with headbutts.
And no, in fact, there's a lot of headbutts where Tyson simply wasn't called for it. It's really Tyson doing it because he's the aggressor going in, small with his head, that the referees were a lot of times giving him the benefit of the doubt that it's accidental when at some point it wasn't accidental. It was Tyson that was doing this most of the time. It's just people didn't care as long as they were a Mike Tyson fan. They didn't even care what he did, but acted like babies when his opponents acted like they were fighters.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson fans
they're usually not boxing fans.
The guy says it's delusional. I mean, you talk about a different crime being like 2 years. That's not normal. And when you look at this, they talk about Don King, they talk about the corner. All that is Mike Tyson's fault. Because Mike Tyson is the one that fell for this crap. And in the end, a lot of us cuss the Amato's fault because everybody, well, Cuss would have stayed where, or Cuss would have lived, Mike would have been different. It wouldn't have been because Cuss, from the time he had Mike Tyson, basically was using Mike Tyson to get his name back in, and he allowed Mike Tyson to do whatever the hell Mike Tyson wanted to do. So you can't really blame Mike Tyson when he goes off the rails when he was basically raised from the time he was born up until Cuss D'Amato that way. And Cuss D'Amato did nothing to ever change that, to ever get any discipline in Tyson's life.
No, and the way he lost Teddy Atlas, so that's a great trainer. I'm going to tell you that's why he got his chance to have a heavyweight champion, is because Tyson molested a 10-year-old girl that they all knew, and so the family didn't know what to do. So they went to Teddy Atlas and they went to the district attorneys, and the district attorney's office decided, yes, we're gonna have to do something about it. So the judge got a hold of this and said we're gonna have to put him in jail for a longer time, try to keep it under the rose. Well, Teddy Atlas went to Tyson one-on-one with a loaded gun, said, if you ever touch this girl again, I'm gonna blow your fucking head off. And Tyson ran, and the next day Teddy Atlas was fired.
Yeah. Tyson is square almost this entire fight. I mean, his hands, not really where he used to be. He's caught there by look.
I love it. That's crazy.
It's a balance shot to me. These feet are side by side.
The second time Tyson's been knocked down in his career. And you're right, he's actually not used to any kind of a struggle. He never, like, Carl Holyfield's fights were struggles. I mentioned the fights against Cowie, were early in his career struggles. But Tyson wasn't really used to it. He wasn't really sure what to do. He starts to come out sort of robotic in a way. And again, Holyfield gaining confidence. The fans are all screaming, Holyfield, Holyfield, Holyfield. And Holyfield is the kind of guy that's excited when the fans are on his side. And right now the fans are on his side. This isn't a freak show, it's a boxing contest. And incidentally, a freak show isn't the worst thing in the world for boxing. John L. Sullivan for a long time was a freak show. People would go to see the one guy beat up somebody in 90 seconds. That was what John L. Sullivan did too. It's just a question of, nobody calls John L. Sullivan. In fact, John L. Sullivan's so underrated these days that you don't have to worry about people calling him one of the greatest ever, even though he was in his own way. And I just want to go through his legacy is not the one we're doing Tyson's. But Tyson's being called one of the greatest ever. No. It ends up he drops and drops as time went on, as he kept trying to avoid the tougher fighters, and he thought the whole it's his camp that doesn't believe in Tyson. And Tyson's following his camp. And Tyson is juicing, and Evander Holyfield's not juicing. That's another thing about this fight. I do believe that Tyson was sharply cheating, and Holyfield wasn't, because Tyson just did like Barry Bonds. It's like a regiment, or the bicycle guys on our LaFrance team. It's just a regiment that they go through, and they don't even really think of it as cheating, because they think, well, everybody's doing it.
Well, there's no doubt that Holyfield was on steroids too. I don't know if he was right here, but I issues had something to do with the steroid use a few years before.
When I ran through the nut boxes that I didn't think were up last show, I went through Foreman and said I think Foreman didn't, I didn't think Buster Douglas did, I didn't think Michael Spinks did. I held off saying anything on Holyfield, because I like Holyfield a lot, and I don't think he's been caught cheating, but I can't say swear to God he didn't do it, because he did build, it's simply, there were a lot of them who did, and the ones who didn't usually were the really big guys who maybe just didn't feel they had to. In fact, didn't want the extra weight. They didn't want to eat food and have it,
Holyfield was a guy whose first fight was weighed heavyweight at 175, 180 pounds.
Yeah.
And a few years later, he's knocking out heavyweights at 205, 210 pounds. And I think just by the look of his body, I think there's no doubt that he did. And there is a...
Well, I can say there's doubt. I can't say he didn't do it. I just say there's doubt because he hasn't caught at it, and there's a feeling that he did. But that's, to me, is a lot different than actually catching the person.
Yeah, but also back in the 90s, they're not trying to catch anybody either, Chris.
Well, it's not different states, depending on where you are checking for different things. And you're right. But a lot of the 90s people got away with it because they knew they could get away with it. I admire a guy like Tommy Morrison who admitted to use steroids, because that makes you sort of drop in your legacy. But he didn't drop in my mind because he told the truth. And just telling the truth, in some way is free. He said he thought most of the guys he fought did it too, and he thought he'd be a competitive disadvantage if he didn't do it.
Why they
I think most of the guys in the 90s were doing it.
But I don't think Foreman did. I don't think Buster Douglas did. Their body types are different. I don't think Michael Smith did.
Buster Douglas didn't really have time because he was too busy eating cheeseburgers and stuff, Chris.
Well, it turns out that's not a great diet for a heavyweight champion. He was really depressed. Buster Douglas was so depressed because it was just him and his dad and living alone. And it was a nightmare. It sounds like a gothic nightmare. I don't know why Ron Howard and people don't make a film about Buster Douglas, because it would be a great rise and fall story. And it doesn't have to matter that it's about African Americans. It could just be a great boxing heavyweight story, because it is wonderful and sad, that whole Buster Douglas world. But there's kind of oh yeah.
Holy threw a body.
There he goes.
Tyson was one punch at a time in this fight.
Plus, Holyfield set him up so easily. The same thing, he sets you up so that you're going to step right into his punch, which is exactly what Tyson did. And then right now Tyson's in nowhere's land, because he stepped right in. He was already in trouble, struggling, in big trouble, and then Holyfield set him up and clobbered him, straight with a clean, punch while Tyson's moving in, with about 15 seconds to go in that last round. And now it's just a matter of, how much of a pounding, Mike Tyson doesn't know where he is. He really doesn't. It's a matter of how much punishment do you let Mike Tyson endure. And that's a tough call for the referee, but I don't know, the referee got really questioned on this one. It looks like, he's going to get knocked out. It's just a matter of how much do you want something like Evander Holyfield, pounding on his head.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's big shit trouble.
Probably, yeah. I think that's a good stoppage.
I was a good stoppage. And really, I don't remember a lot of criticism about the stoppage, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of criticism against Holyfield non-stop about the first round of the next fight, but I don't really hear any criticism on that stoppage. Or really a lot of the first fight itself. It's really the Holyfield barrage is that continues the next fight. Did he sometimes fight dirty? Well, I didn't like the way he hit Michael Jokes at the end of the first round, I think, in their fight. I didn't like certain things Evander Holyfield did. He wasn't a saint. Lennox Lewis had the great line. He said, "I believe Holyfield's a religious guy because he breaks a commandment a week." But that's turning around and making all like Tyson has a million excuses for losing to Holyfield. He doesn't have a million excuses for losing to Holyfield. He lost to Holyfield because Holyfield's a more dedicated fighter and a better fighter.
All right.
The rematch, which was held, I think, in June of '97. About 7 or 8 months after the first fight.
And there was still a lot of
Tyson fans that thought maybe he wouldn't prepare right, he would come out and win this fight.
Yeah, but it's not a bad fight either. You probably think he maybe should have watched more film. I mean, Tyson was a dedicated film viewer at one time, and you could think, hey, maybe he did underestimate Holyfield's in physical condition. Maybe if he's watching tapes of Holyfield, and get somebody more in his corner. The first one wasn't a fluke, but he could do better. He could do better in the second round. Might have been the thinking, and that wouldn't necessarily been unreasonable to wonder that. Well, Holyfield's confident as hell. Holyfield's always confident, I must say. When he's confident, he was so confident.
That's a big difference. Body language to me is a big thing with Holyfield and Tyson. Because Holyfield, no matter how the fight's going, always looks like he's in charge. Tyson, when he's getting beat, Tyson to me is just a front runner. If everything's going well, he's going to be a force of nature. He's going to be hard to fight. But if things are going poorly, he doesn't have a way to turn that around.
No, he really doesn't. Even John O'Sullivan, John Sullivan's fights, even the best ones, didn't last very long. There were a couple draws where he just stood there because the other guy wouldn't come forward. But Tyson's gone at least a little bit longer in fights and should have been a little bit more prepared for a fight that you think is going to go a ways. And physically, he seems to be in good shape, but mentally, he just can't handle not scaring his opponent. He has to
look on his face, and he realizes that he's in with somebody that's not right.
Yeah, and it's really crazy and sad in a sense for Tyson and their fans is that the third round, right from the get-go, when we get to it, he's gonna plan to cheat. He goes out there without his mouthpiece, and yet Tyson, by being super heavily aggressive while he was using a lot of energy, I thought Tyson was having a great third round until he bit Holyfield.
Yeah, but I think once again the fight is kind of like the Roberto Randall loss. I think for him it was better to go out fouling than to be knocked out.
And he was right about that, because I was in Tijuana and joined the crowd, and really the crowd gave Tyson a lot of breaks for that disqualification. Now the crowd gave Roberto Duran no breaks, because Duran went back Grant had to really win back his reputation, but Tyson really didn't have to. The fans just said, well, Holyfield cheated, and Tyson didn't do anything wrong, and kind of just at that, just real stubbornness about how great their boxers' skills were, even though the whole last tape was showing him against guys who were definitely not A level, not even sure they're B level. I'm not sure Mike Jameson's E level, but we're not having problem. We're holding on with Mike Tyson and not really not the chumps that everyone thinks of.
Yeah.
He went out, guys. Absolutely. Look, I thought it was his best round of the 14. He went out there though, intending to do what he did, because he went out there as mouthpiece. But he's being ultra aggressive to get close to Holyfield, like closing in, and it's really working. His aggression is really working for him until the bite. I mean, he looks better than he's looked really. I thought he was good round 5 of the first fight, which we showed, and I thought this was his best round of the 14 until the fight.
Yeah,
but still have the same issue as Tyson. Holyfield being physically stronger, be able to basically walk him backwards.
And not being scared. I think that you mentioned that at a certain point, the shuffle guy that I love so much, Walcott. The Walcott in their second fight against Marciano wasn't afraid or anything, but he thought, I don't want to go through 11 more rounds of this. I don't want to get the shit kicked out of me anymore. And I think Tyson was concerned that he was going to get beat up more and more and more, and he probably would have been as this fight progressed. But Tyson does have a good chin. Tyson does not actually have a weak chin, and that's just part of who he is. So he probably wouldn't go down easy against Holyfield, get knocked out easy, unless he was simply being defenseless and taking punches, and the referee decides to stop it. And Mills Lane's a great referee. I gotta say, sometimes I hate his court program, but I do like him as a referee. Let's get it on.
Yeah,
one of the big times where you thought that a fighter was getting screwed over. I don't think they got grip here.
Yeah, it's going to nice shot by Tyson. No, it's going to take Mills Lane a second to figure out. And what he wants to do, now he's calling the timeout and realizing his Holyfield telling him on that bit, and he's going to look at it and stuff, is he already thinking he had better disqualify Tyson, but the doctor people stepped forward, intervened, and said no, they didn't want it stopped. They agreed eventually to a deduction of points, but a 2-point deduction. But this is the seriousness of something like this. Mills Lane was right, even though he wanted to stop it, and they wouldn't let him stop it.
Yeah, the thing is amazing to me is they actually allow this fight to continue.
Exactly, and again, that's no discredit to the referee. The referee wanted to stop it.
Well, they should have all wanted to stop it.
Well, again, it's supposed to be the referee's decision. There was a lot going on. Where Holyfield gave Tyson a break was actually, Tyson got suspended for 1.5 years, and Holyfield actually went to the hearing to try to lessen the sentence. And Holyfield said when he was a younger man, he bit somebody, and he remembered that fight and thought Tyson was just afraid, and that's why he did it.
Well, see, I think they don't want this fight to continue after the second fight, because Holyfield would pretty pissed. I think this would have been a hell of a fight.
It could have been, but after a guy's done something that awful, and you can see Holyfield's ear bit off, you have to, I think, I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to disqualify it, and Tyson knew it. Tyson, I think, was surprised it wasn't disqualified after the first bite. In fact, so the first bite, it was the second bite, he bit his ear off. I mean, the first bite didn't bite his ear off, the second bite, it's off, and that's fine when he got around to disqualifying him. I mean, who knows what Tyson would have done, honestly, for a guy that's going to try to break guys' arms in the ring and do all kinds of things. I think they had to stop it. Holyfield would put up with whatever he got, and maybe delivered back. You might see Holyfield land a real nasty headbutt back. I'm not putting that above Holyfield, but that's because it's gone out of control as far as being a heavyweight fight.
All right, head over right now. See for yourself. Bet.net makes it easy to find all the legal online casinos and sportsbooks in your state. Make sure you check out betting.net right now. All right, so Tyson gets suspended. He comes back. And pretty much it becomes a shit show for the rest of his career. He's going to fight France Bobo. France Bobo was a guy who was a tough fighter, who lost on the other card of Holyfield Tyson won, if I remember right. Michael Moore got stopped in the 11th round. But Bobo was a good fighter. Bobo was a guy that I thought was actually winning the fight with Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
Tyson tried to break his arm, and all hell broke.
Well, I think he was even winning the fight after. I think Boda won the first, 3 rounds easily. But this was his first fight back since the year-and-a-half suspension, and he's going to be trying to break Boda's arm openly. Yeah, you're dealing now with a dirty fighter is one thing, but again, all the acclaim still is going Tyson's way when he's no longer whatever people think he was. Again, at the height of when he fought Michael Spinks, but it was only 2 rounds after that fight, he was fighting Buster Douglas, so it wasn't like he had years of any kind of dominance. In fact, he didn't fight Mercer, he didn't fight Witherspoon. Yeah, he didn't fight Mercer, didn't fight Witherspoon, he didn't fight the guys, Weaver, he didn't think guys who could beat Tyson. There you go, Cal Chaos breaking loose, he's trying to break his arm. And yeah, Boda easily won the first 3 rounds. It's going to ultimately wind up a Tyson knockout, but it's just another sign of the cheating and how much they hold against Vander Holyfield. Oh, Vander Holyfield cheats. Well, at what point do you admit your guy cheating? He's trying to break the guy's arm.
Yeah, I feel with the official. I'm not as big on Richard Steele as I am.
I agree. Some stoppages that usually I give the referee the benefit of the doubt. Well, even me and Chavez, when he stopped that one with 2 seconds left.
I can see Tyson's running first fight is the one that really got me.
The stoppage?
Yeah, Tyson.
Riddick certainly looked better. Riddick certainly looked real confident the second time they fought, and at the time it gave Razor Ruddock a lot of acclaim, sort of.
That's probably paid them a lot of money for a second fight that way.
And Ruddock went the distance, which at the time was considered, an amazing thing, until guys started beating Tyson. And no one ever beat Tyson going the distance. Every single fight is 6 losses as a pro, and they're all knockout losses. Disqualification comes in on the records as a knockout loss.
Look at this highlight shows about 27 different fouls. Mike Tyson has it. See, hooked onto his arm right there. He's going to try to break it.
There you go. Look at that. It's Holyfield's fault because Holyfield tried to headbutt him.
Yeah. He probably looked at him and said, Holyfield butted me a year or 2 ago.
That didn't bring Franz Bozo's arm for it.
Yeah.
And who knows how damage they did? Boda did, won the first 3 rounds easily, while Tyson did knock out in the 5th round. Who knows that the cheating is causing Boda damage that Boda's trying not to show. Boda's trying to show how hurt he is. He went in there, a tough guy, and gave Tyson a very surprisingly outboxed him so easily. And you think, I didn't know Franz Boda was that good a boxer. Or maybe Tyson's just a worse boxer than we think.
Well, it's both against Shannon Burns, which was a hell of a fight. I mean, both against Moore, both against, I think, National Schultz at one point. He was a solid boxer, but this is not a guy that should give all-time top 10 heavyweight issues. And he didn't against Lennox Lewis, who took him out in like 2 rounds.
Just sometimes, Tyson would be rusty if they're not fighting for so long, and it's going to assist Boda, but at least they give Boda credit for the courage and that sort of thing, and he fought well, and Tyson did get the knockout.
Yes, the White Buffalo fought really well in this fight. Tyson got to win. And, people are starting to ramp up. They would like to see Mike Tyson against Lennox Lewis.
Right, we were waiting for that, Because now Holyfield is taking on Lennox Lewis, and there's no doubt that Lennox Lewis is the heavyweight champion, not Evander Holyfield. I give Holyfield great credit for the way they fought the second time. The first one turned out a draw, and the second one Holyfield deservedly lost.
The second fight, I thought Holyfield fought much better. I thought it was a close decision that Lewis deserved to win.
Yeah.
But the first fight, Lewis and Holyfield was about as bad a decision as you'll ever see.
And I also could give Americans credit that even though it was our American fighter who got the advantage of a draw, a lot of Americans were disappointed that there was a draw, that Holyfield didn't deserve it.
So if you watch Holyfield, Lewis won. It may have been obvious that Lewis did more, but neither one had hardly anything. So it's really hard to feel really bad for Lennox Lewis because he kind of allowed that fight to end up that way also.
Well, I was kind of saying the things we held against Lewis is Lewis's patience and boxing skills. When sometimes Lewis is such a big guy, we wanted to see him kind of, throw and land the hard punches, and of course Holyfield would do that in the second fight too, Lewis. And no, I don't think we thought Mercer might have beat Lennox Lewis, but no, I don't think Lewis. I think Holyfield did.
No, I actually had Mercer winning by a point when they fought Madison Square Garden.
It was real close, I know that. And I said I accept the decision because I thought Lewis did well in sort of the, you're giving each round these 10-9s, and I thought in the real cheap rounds, Lewis was just really outboxing them the last 30 seconds, quickly picking up rounds.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad decision. I just think it was a close decision. They could have won either way.
Right, and if you just watch it with your heart and say, hey, I'm just going to watch the fight and not count rounds, then yes, I can understandably say Mercer winning the fight.
And that's the end of Francois and both of them. Which brings us to another fight that Mike Tyson may have been a little bit dirty again, Chris. And that would be Orlin Norris.
Yeah, well, we know he's dirty because he's going to fight, a great light heavyweight champion, Norris. Norris is only the first round, only the second bout since Holyfield. Tyson's going to hit with a 2-point penalty, an intentional late hit after the round. So there's no doubt about the dirty stuff. It's just Norris couldn't get up, and I don't know why it's not a disqualification instead of no contest, but they have these things in writing sometimes.
I don't know why it can't be a disqualification, because Don King was one Mike Tyson versus Lewis.
Yeah, everyone didn't really want it. It would have been kind of not the kind of L that they wanted to pin on at Tyson, but it's just too bad Norris couldn't get up and continue fighting because he would have gone into the second round with a 10-7 advantage, minimally. 10-7 first round. That's what you're gonna have. One round between the two. It's a 10-7 round for Morris. That's a good advantage going into the second round if you can continue.
Yeah, Tyson's not doing a whole lot here.
No, I think that's why I said Norris won the round, in my opinion. I thought Norris won the round, and then I thought the 2-point penalty involved. So that's why I say a 10-7.
Yeah, no, the judges probably didn't score for Orlin Norris, so it's probably 10-8.
That would be sad. You're right. You might be very right about that, but that would be
well, look back at it. One of the judges had him beaten Buster Douglas, and the other one had it really close.
Oh, actually, 2 of the 3 judges had Tyson had a Buster Douglas, which is insane. Just insane. Again, we don't have to go over the Douglas stats, just watch the 5th round of that fight, and Douglas easily beating him in the first 2 rounds, 52-16 in punches. As John Madden would say, he's getting killed out there, and that's what was happening to Tyson. But the judges were giving him, because Tyson's a money man. He's the money for everybody in boxing.
Yeah, I don't have any guys like Lewis Reeves and Julius Francis, who he was also, let's say, fighting a little bit dirty.
Yeah, we showed this one because, again, it's just 1 round and a 2-point deduction, just to show that, hey, Norris is not just taking a 2-point deduction. I think if you're a fair boxing fan, you'd say, I think Norris has this round. And so I think a reasonable person would say, no. Is it coming to the end? Yeah, coming right to the end. And 0. I think there's 0. And there's 0. I can't see this. I can't read. I'm kind of blind. That punch. That's the punch was after the bell. And they call it intentional after the bell. And enough of an intention, they gave him a 2-point penalty, which is the same penalty Tyson got for biting Holyfield's ear.
So what I'm thinking here is Richard Steele may be in Don King's pocket. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I got to say, he gave a 2-point penalty, and that was a pretty strong penalty. When it's close sometimes, and you think a fighter didn't hear the bell or something. But no, I think that saying no, this fighter heard the bell, and he knew the round was over, and he threw a punch because he knew the other guy wouldn't be ready for it, which is what he thought Holyfield did to him. It's not what Holyfield did to him, but that's what Tyson felt Holyfield did to him. So yeah, I think it was a cheap shot. I can't believe he took out a 2-point penalty, but I believe he deserved it. And if Norris would have continued, it would have been a 10-7 unless the judges gave Tyson this round, which is why we let the audience watch it too, so they can say, they don't have to agree with us. They hopefully will agree with us, but they don't have to because they're watching themselves. What do they think? What are they seeing? That kind of thing.
All right. We got Mike Tyson in Milwaukee with the pay-per-view fight on Friday night. I think it was fought in Michigan. This is a fight where, of course, you had probably the 2 dirtiest fighters. You'll ever fight each other. Unfortunately, he was scared to death. And I think Amanda Nuano wasn't scared to death. Nuano would have been a heavyweight champion. He was a very talented guy who just was a mental midget.
Well, yeah, when he fought Michael Grant, who was a really huge guy, Lennox Lewis knocked him out in 2 rounds, Grant. he pulled a quit on it. So he thought, you know what, I'm gonna start getting my ass kicked in the 10th round. It wasn't so bad. It's not usual to see a boxer quit, but he's gonna pull a quit again after just the second round with Tyson. It looked awful at the time. It looked like Andrew Gulati is just a punk. You can't just quit against Mike Tyson because you're afraid of him after 2 rounds. But then what happens after the fight is now they caught Mike Tyson doping. So you can say he didn't cheat in other fights because there's no proof. There's proof he cheated on this one, and because there's proof he cheated, which means they must have been looking at Gulati's, a urine sample and blood samples or whatever as well. Then I give Gulati a little more of a break. That if he's fighting fair, the guy he's fighting is cheating, and it's proven that the guy he's fighting is cheating, then quitting isn't quite as bad. It just looks if they caught Tyson, don't you think they would have caught Gulati?
No, because I think Gulati was much better at it than most of his career. Look like this. A normal adult male in his early 30s, late 20s, does not have acne all over his back and his chest normally.
Well, I almost had it. Anyway, I will say this. Gulati is not the kind of guy you want to defend, usually, if you're an American or anybody else, because although he did fight Riddick Bowe well, the cheating is just too much. And anyway, Gulati got a chance against Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis cleared that out. Not 1 round knockout.
Yeah, he was scared
But this one, the way Gulati quit after the second round, his corner was furious with him. I really thought, I don't want to ever see Andrew Gulati fight again. But then when the results come out, and Tyson's proven to be cheating, then there's my computer trying to do something stupid. I know. No, maybe on your end. I was going to cancel this thing.
Oh, we lost Chris. But we're going to keep watching Tyson and Gulati here as we end the second round between two guys that have great difficulty controlling themselves. And when you watch this fight, this is one where you can tell Gulati's afraid. But Gulati is hitting Tyson. And this is basically a past your prime Tyson. I don't know that Gulati ever had his prime. His prime was probably in the first fight when he gave Riddick Bowe all kind of hell. And really the second fight with Bowe. I think Gulati basically ended Bowe's career with that second beating, even though he ended up losing the fight for low blows. By the time he was done there, Riddick Bowe was never the same. So that's the Andrew Gulati fight. So when we look at that fight, now you've set it up so you can get a fight against against Lennox Lewis, who was the heavyweight champion of the world at this point. There was no doubt he was the best heavyweight in the world. Everybody wanted to see this fight for some reason. I think that basically you had Mike Tyson fans who always believed Mike Tyson had a chance and Mike Tyson was going to win because he was this great fighting force that he really wasn't. He was a really good fighter, but not what they said he was. We're going to go to round 7 against Lewis. And the issue here is Lennox Lewis is just a better fighter. Lennox Lewis is actually older than Mike Tyson here, so a lot of people would like to go ahead and say that, he's too old. But he wasn't. He was younger than Mike Tyson here, Chris. And basically what I was saying here was this was a fight that I think was almost a morbid curiosity for people who like Lennox Lewis because they knew it wasn't going to be a fight. And on the Mike Tyson side, it was just basically delusional guys that thought Mike Tyson could be anybody that ever lived.
Right, and Lewis is completely dominating Tyson after 6 rounds. The 7th round, just completely easily picking Tyson apart. I think even taking it easy. Because Tyson said a lot of mean things about wanting to murder his kids, even though Lennox Lewis doesn't have kids. And a lot of vicious things, starting fights at press conferences, that I think Lewis was tired of the freak show a little bit. And usually I feel Lewis is kind of a gentlemanly kind of heavyweight, but I think he was pretty mad at Tyson and wanted Tyson to suffer to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think Lewis carried him, and I think Lewis inflicted a lot of punishment on him just for fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still Tyson fans thinking, he's got a puncher's chance. Well, not against this guy. It's the Oliver McCall and Bashir Malid. They had a boxer shot, but now Tyson's really beat up. Foreman would say they really had a shot this fight. And I think Foreman, in compassion with Tyson, even though Foreman says Tyson would have beat him in a fight, I didn't know that. I think the fans would have been happy that they had to see Tyson get knocked out.
No matter if the fight is not going his way, he stayed in there. So that's
yeah, and I think everybody knew that was coming. And it was obvious in this fight from the third round on, or really probably from the first round on, because the thing that I remember was the first round. Tyson actually won the first round, if I remember right. And
I didn't think so, but go ahead and say we can disagree. We can agree to disagree.
It was the closest thing he came to winning a round. How about that?
And I didn't think he won a lot. I thought maybe he had a draw in the first fight with Holyfield in the first round, but I thought Lewis won the first round too. The only thing Lewis had going against him in rounds was deductions. The referee hit him with a couple deductions.
Well, Tyson hit Lewis with his best shot in that first round, and Lewis didn't go anywhere. To me, that fight was over from there.
Right. Hey, before I forget, I'm supposed to be looking good as we're watching this knockout. ColorLoveStudioAZ.com. Jasmine trying to get me to look good and you guys to look good, to get your hair done, your cosmetics, your this and that. ColorLoveStudioAZ.com. Jasmine is the business owner. Now back to the fighting.
All right, we're at round 8, which will be...
This is going to be the... Yeah, this is going to be it. It's going to really end, finally, the freak show. Just too bad, because Tyson had such great boxing skills, a defensive boxer, too. So early in his career, there's a lot of promise. And that would be reduced to, finally the freak show's over. Although it wasn't, he still had money to be made. It's just, he started losing to the guys that were lesser quality. Eventually, Tyson couldn't even beat Journeyman.
Well, I mean, if you look at this, if you just look at the size and strength of Lennox Lewis, I don't think Mike Tyson ever beats Lennox Lewis. I don't think he ever beats Evander Holyfield. I don't think Tyson.
I don't think Tyson beats Tim Witherspoon.
No, I don't either. I think if Tim Witherspoon would have not went off the rails because of Don King in 1986-87, I think Tim Witherspoon would have beat him. I agree, because I think Witherspoon's style, he would have locked him up. But unlike Bone Clutcher Smith, he would have also hit him while doing it.
Right, and I'll say, I don't think Ray Mercer could beat Jesse Ferguson in a million years. I think Ray Mercer could easily beat Mike Tyson had they fought in the primes.
Yeah, because Mercer's not going anywhere when he gets hit by Tyson.
Right, and he doesn't try when he fights Jesse Ferguson. And Mercer needs to get geared up. And when he gets geared up, and he'd be geared up against Tyson.
Yeah.
Rick Bowes was disappointed not to get a shot at Tyson. Rick Bowes to visit him in jail, asking him to please fight him when he gets out of jail, but that didn't work out.
All right, and this is the finish.
And good.
I think Lennox would have been happy to do this for another 4 rounds.
Goodbye, with Rick Road. It's finally going. Does he sort of hit him and push him down home? Maybe, but it's over. It's over.
Well, Tyson keeps leaning to the left. He's leaning into the right hook and the right uppercut.
Yeah, he clearly is. He actually asked not to fight. Tyson wanted to quit after the 7th round, and that's not to me a quitting. That's not like quitting. It would hurt his image. But I think Tyson thought, I can't go any farther against this guy. It's an admission of, do you have to see this? But yes, boxing fans had to see this. We would not have accepted Tyson quitting after the 7th round. Even though the man said, hey, I'm too hurt and beat up, and I can't fight this guy anymore. But his people threw him back out there.
All right, so now you get part 3 of his career, which is the Danny Williams, Kevin McBride years, which are maybe my favorites, especially when Kevin McBride beat him. But when you look at this, the Danny Williams fight was fought, I think, in Freedom Hall, Louisville, Kentucky. And this was a fight. Danny Williams was a good fighter. I don't think people realize that.
But it was supposed to be just a sort of journey fight. And I'm really impressed when I watch Danny Williams, because sometimes we think the English fighters don't have as much heart. And Danny Williams shows a lot of heart. Tyson probably did win the first 3 rounds, but Williams is taking Tyson's best punches, which nobody thought he should do. And then Tyson's going to start to tire, and Danny Williams is getting really fired up. Sometimes you could prepare against somebody and say, this is my one shot, which Danny Williams is right. The heavyweight championship isn't as important as what you did against Mike Tyson as time's going to move on.
Yeah, because everywhere Danny Williams goes, everybody introduces him as the guy to beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah, knocked out.
The other thing about Danny Williams is this, though. He can take a punch. He was a tough guy, and I saw most of his fights over in England. I used to trade videos with a guy who would record in England. We'd send stuff to each other. But the thing, Williams can take a punch, and he really proved that, because he got a title shot against Vitaly Klitschko after this on the pay-per-view. And Vitaly beat the brakes off of him. And Williams, I think, was still standing at the end. And, I mean, that was 8 rounds of Vitaly Klitschko hitting you, which I'm sorry, Mike Tyson fans. Vitaly Klitschko hit a lot harder than Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah, Vitaly Klitschko would have Tyson would never face it. It would be like a giant facing a midget. No, that would have been Vitaly Klitschko fighting Tyson. I don't even bring that up as what kind of fight it would be because it would be such a joke. There's nothing. At least Chris Bird had a strategy of trying to get the guy to miss with his punches, trying to use some kind of boxing intelligence against Vitaly Klitschko.
Yeah, I'll give you this. I think that if Mike Tyson beats Danny Williams here, he might have been fighting Vitaly Klitschko for the title.
I can't imagine that he'd have the courage to fight Vitaly Klitschko, to be perfectly honest.
Well, he wants the money. It doesn't have
the money would be there. The money would be there, and the fans would be rooting for him. And I don't know how I'd be rooting. Vitaly Klitschko. We picked on the Klitschko brothers a lot as Americans, and I guess that's all right. People pick on Americans when they're not when they're from other countries too. But when it's all said and done, I'm impressed by the Klitschko brothers as a legacy. And I thought Vitaly Klitschko was the better of the two brothers because he couldn't beat him, and the guy you can't beat is the one that's the better boxer.
Yeah, Vitaly was a hell of a fighter. I think all-time heavyweight list. To me, both Klitschkos are ahead of Tyson.
Oh, absolutely. Both were outstanding. Vladimir was just such a better, more obvious boxing than Vitaly. But Vitaly, for him to retire, come back 4 years later and retain and still never get beat, that's very hard to do. I'd have been gambling. I'd have been setting my money on Vitaly Klitschko losing, and I would have lost my money.
All right. So we'll go to my favorite, which is Kevin McBride.
The Irish heavyweight champion.
Irish heavyweight champion.
He was the Irish heavyweight champion who said he hadn't defended it in years because no one paid much attention to that title. But Kevin McBride is the Irish
heavyweights.
That's when they play bagpipes. It's like, oh no, Kevin McBride. You listen to AC/DC and Metallica just like everybody else. But for the fight, they play the bagpipes. Show how Irish he is. He's a tough guy, though. I mean, to stand there and say you think you're going to go against Mike Tyson.
Hey, here we go. Hold on, real quick. We got Billy McKim. Couldn't have been less interested. Look at his footwork. Not true Tyson. I think that's crap. I think when you watch him against Buster Douglas, you see the same footwork. Basically, when he's having trouble, when he's losing, this is what his footwork is. It's what it was against Henry Tillman in the Olympic box offs, Chris. It's what it was against Mitch Green.
Yeah, and Tyson's also getting a little bit older. He's fighting guys like 6'5" and 271 pounds. It gets tiring pounding on somebody like that and not knocking him out. I mean, it's exhausting to throw and land these punches, and the guy doesn't appear to be getting anyone getting knocked out. At least the other boxer was just that. He was younger. Now Tyson's not younger. He's not that old, but he's 38 or something like that.
I don't know if he was that older, but, I mean, you figure this was 20 years. Yeah, probably about that. But make sure you go find the best place to bet for you. Betting.net offers expert user reviews for every online sportsbook and online casino in your state. I also want to remind everybody you can go to the Facebook page, The Grueling Truth, where you can actually sign up for the November jersey giveaway, where you can get a free NFL jersey. I believe it's even customized with whatever name you want on it. So make sure you check that out also. All right, Chris, back to the Clone Cyclone.
Right, and this is already where it's turning into a shocking fight because it was supposed to be just pretty much an easy one. Because Kevin McBride's lost